Welcome, everyone. I'm Eric, and Happy New Year to everyone. It's hard to believe 2025 went really quick. They, People always say as you get older, it seems to go faster, and I agree. It's the rule of time, I guess. But I thought tonight I'll start with a reading, but tonight we'll do our traditional practices in the beginning, and then we'll refer to the text if we have time at the end. I think we're dealing with chapters 8 or readings 18 through 24, and can't cover all that, but I'll kind of talk about briefly about kind of some of the themes that are presented there, and we'll have space if you did do the readings and you have questions or comments or whatever, we can have time for that as well. So, can everybody hear me? If you can raise you, everybody, if you hear me, okay, all right, good. Well, just settle in, get comfortable in your chair, not too comfortable. Have your back somewhat upright if you'd like. Straight spine. Hands can be comfortably in the lap. And take 3 or 4 slow, deep breaths, relaxing on each exhale. Just relaxing on each exhale. And one more slow, deep breath. And Nancy, if you do want to mute, you can. And just feeling the feet flat on the floor now, noticing the contact of the feet on the floor. And just noticing sensations there. And thanks to everyone for muting. Everyone is all set. And as the feet contact the floor, maybe just having a sense of the energy of the body sinking into the earth a bit. And as we connect this body energy with the Mother Earth body energy, feel into that connection with this Mother Earth that nurtures us, sustains us. And we give gratitude for this moment of aliveness, this moment of connection to this larger Earth community, both human and animal and plants, earth, water, air, fire. And just really feeling into this reality of this moment of experience not being confined to this body at all, that we're deeply connected with all life. The edge of the skin is not the edge of our awareness by any means. Awareness itself is described as having no center and no periphery, no beginning, no end. That quality of always present awareness. So I'll read a poem as we move into practice. This is by Donna Falls, titled Whatever Doesn't Serve. What weight can you put down right now? willingly relinquishing the pointed quills of guilt or judgment. What burden of the heart can lift? What dark corner can be lit? The candle flickering at first, then burning brightly. With the next breath, let it go. That old story you've told yourself a million times. Whatever doesn't serve you on this path of truth, leave it behind. Offer this one gift, the simple sacrifice that in the giving sets you free to fully live. Offer this one gift, the simple sacrifice that in the giving sets you free to fully live. What weight can you put down right now? Willingly relinquishing the pointed quills of guilt or judgment. What burden of the heart can lift? What dark corner can be lit? The candle flickering at first, then burning brightly. With the next breath, let it go. That old story you've told yourself a million times. Whatever doesn't serve you on this path of truth, leave it behind. Offer this one gift, the simple sacrifice that in the giving sets you free to fully live. So we'll move into practice now. If you'd like to close your eyes, you can, or if you prefer the eyes to be partially open, maybe half open, we can look down towards the floor about 5 to 7 feet in front of us, so we're not too distracted. Again, take a couple slow, deep breaths. Relaxing on that exhale. And now we'll begin with just a brief body scan, just noticing the feet, contacting the floor, being with sensations there. Noticing how sensations come and go. Bringing attention up through the legs, through the ankles, up through the calves, the knees, the thighs, and sensing into the sits bones as they contact the cushion or the chair. Again, just bringing attention to the sensations of the sits bones contacting the chair. And just inviting the whole lower body from the hips down through the legs into the feet and the toes to soften, soothe, and rest. Soften, soothe, and rest. Turn your attention now to the hips and the lower back. Sensing the lower back and coming up through the lower back into the middle back, the spine, the ribs, shoulder blades, tops of the shoulders. Feeling into the whole of the back and the hips. And the invitation to soften, soothe, and rest. Just letting go of any contractions. any tension, any folding. Just inviting the muscles, tendons, the bones. Let go, unwind, and rest. Sensing into the front of the body, the belly, the rib cage, the chest. Perhaps noticing the rise and fall of the abdomen, the chest as we inhale and exhale. Bring attention up into the tops of the shoulders again, maybe feeling that left shoulder dropping down through the left arm, the upper arm, the lower arm, the wrist, and feeling into that left hand, the palm of the hand, the fingers and fingertips, being with sensations there. Just resting. Bring attention up from that left hand, up the arm, into the left shoulder, crossing over into the right shoulder, dropping attention down to that right upper arm, the lower arm, wrist, dropping into that right hand, the palm of the hand, fingers, fingertips, being the sensations in the right hand. Bring attention up from that right hand, back up the arm into the shoulders, sensing into the back of the neck. The neck connects down into the shoulders, all the way up to the base of the skull, and into those muscles, the sides of the neck, the throat, the jaw, the whole jaw, throat, neck, and shoulders. Soften, soothe, and rest. Soften, soothe, and rest. In this moment, there's nothing really to do, nowhere to go, no problems to solve. We're simply resting in this open, spacious experience of the body right now. Feeling into the jaw, the chin, the cheeks, the lips, the nose, the eyes, the brow, the forehead. And just inviting all the muscles of the face, on the eyes, the cheeks, the jaw, the throat to soften, letting go of any subtle contractions. Just letting the muscles of the faces droop, relax, and soften. Inviting the top of the head, the scalp, sides of the head, ears, back of the head and neck, face, the jaw, the throat, all soften, soothe, and rest. And just bringing attention to the whole of the body, just noticing sensations as they come and go. Whatever sensation comes into awareness, is noticing it and noticing how it may only last for a few moments until a new sensation arises. Just being awake and aware of the flow of sensations throughout the entire body. Yeah, it's resting. Thing to do, know where to get to or go, no problems to solve in this moment. Just bringing attention now just to the upper body, being with the sensation of the in and out breath. Just noticing is the breath deep or shallow, long or short. If you want, you can specifically notice the end of the inhale and that transition from the end of the inhale to the exhale. Just being aware of the sensation of that full breath cycle and maybe noticing that transition point at the end of the inhale to the exhale. Attention wanders, which is naturally normal. We just notice that. We just kind of congratulate ourselves for waking up from the wandering mind. And then we gently return the attention back to the full sensation of in and out breath. Noticing the breath long or short, deep or shallow. focusing the attention just a bit more, maybe at the nose, the chest, or the abdomen. Being again with the sensation of the rise and fall of the breath. Images, thoughts, emotions arise. Just label them as thinking or sensations or emotions. And then gently come back to the breath. At the nose, the belly, or the chest, what's ever easiest for you to track, follow. Just continuing to be with the sensation of the breath in the body. If there's dullness or sleepiness that you might be struggling with, you can slightly open the eyes. Or if you want to keep the eyes closed, you can simply raise the gaze with the eyes closed above horizon line. Or you can take a few slow, deep breaths, wake up, oxygenate the body. If there's agitation or a lot of mind wandering, lowering the gaze can be helpful. And reducing the effort to focus on the breath, the sensation of the breath, let's lighten up on that a bit and just be in an observer role. So we're not trying to control the breath in any way. We're going to expand our awareness beyond just the breath, moving from what we call focused attention or shamatha, calm abiding. We're moving now into insight practice or vipassana. So gently expanding awareness beyond the breath and just begin to observe all experiences as they rise. So we're not focusing attention on the breath any longer. We're just opening attention to sounds, sensations, thoughts, emotions. We're not clinging to any of these or pushing any of these experiences away. We're just noticing the coming and going of thoughts, emotions, sensations, sounds. As sounds arise, we simply hear it. There's no need to analyze it, interpret it. As sensations appears, we simply feel it. A thought arises and passes. We simply know it as a thought. So in this vipassana insight practice, we're not trying to stop the mind or control it in any way. We're just learning to watch its movement clearly. And to help in that noticing, we can label things like hearing, thinking, itching, emotions, tightness, heat, and then let it go. Noticing the impermanence of experience coming and going quite rapidly, thoughts, emotions, sensations. And we can begin to see the impermanent nature of the breath, of sensations, of thoughts as they come and go. They arise, last a little bit, and then dissolve. Well, thoughts can seem quite solid sometimes. When we look closely, they are quite fleeting if we don't grab on or push away or expand upon them. Might also notice how we're maybe attracted to pleasant sensations or thoughts as they arise, and maybe a little subtle pushing away of unpleasant sense of craving for pleasure or pushing away pain. And this dynamic often leads to restlessness and stress. So our capacity to simply be with whatever is arising with equanimity and compassion, whether pleasant or unpleasant, without grasping at it and pushing it away, restlessness will dissolve and come to a place of equilibrium and equanimity. So noticing how resistance to what's happening amplifies unsatisfactoriness, how acceptance brings us to a place of equanimity. Practice helps us to be less reactive in our daily life and better able to have empathy for multiple perspectives, not being quite so attached to our own perspective. From that place, making wiser decisions since we're able to include many points of view with an open heart. Practical application in our daily lives. And the final practice within Vipassana, insight practice, we reflect on the sense of no solid self, that we notice how experiences and thoughts aren't that permanent. They come and go, and often are not fully under our control. So it begins to break through this belief that we have a strong, solid, separate sense of self, actually quite dynamic, fluctuating, fluid. And if we don't protect it so much, again, we can be more open to the world around us without having to defend our positions so strongly. We can still have positions, but again, we're able to take in a wider scope, a wider field of experience from which wisdom can arise, actions can be taken, a wider view, more empathetic view. So as we open to this fluid sense of self, we begin to realize that the environment that we participate in is part of who we are, and not separate from our environment. It's a dynamic dance of many, many parts that co-arise into a community of experience. It's resting in this clear space of seeing the impermanent nature of all thoughts and sensations, how clinging the pleasant, pushing away unpleasant, creates stress, restlessness, and how letting go of a concrete, solid sense of self opens the heart to be more inclusive of the interdependent reality of who and what we are, connected to a community of relationships. And we'll close with a brief loving kindness practice, shifting the attention now just to the breath in the belly. Feeling the feet grounded on the floor. And then bringing the attention up into the chest, into the heart area. And we'll silently offer these wishes of kindness towards ourselves. May I be happy and joyful in this moment. May I be healthy in mind, healthy in body, healthy in spirit. May I know inner peace and peace in all my relationships. May I be free from suffering and free from the causes of suffering. May I live with ease. Now just shifting to another person, gently bringing someone to mind that's can easily extend love towards, maybe a friend or a pet. If it's a place in nature, extending kindness to this being, this place. May you be happy and joyful in this moment. May you be safe. May you live with ease. May you be happy and joyful in this moment. May you be safe. May you live with ease. And now just bringing someone to mind who you know might be struggling on some level, in a relationship, emotionally, maybe they're challenged, or financial situations, whatever it might be, transition they're going through. And feel your heart connecting to their suffering, not in sadness, but in care and compassion. And feeling into their suffering, almost having a sense of looking through their eyes, through their suffering. And we extend these phrases, this one. May you be free from suffering. May your pain be eased. May you find peace. May you be free from suffering. May your pain be eased. May you find peace in this moment. May you be free from suffering. May your pain be eased. May you find peace in this moment. And finally, connecting to someone who maybe you have some difficulties with, someone you feel helpless around or conflicted with or uncertain about. Bringing them into your heart space and extending these phrases. May I accept things as they are. May I be at peace with what I cannot control. All beings are the owners of their actions. May I accept things as they are. May I be at peace with what I cannot control. All beings are the owners of their action. And then just concluding, spreading this loving kindness to all beings. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings rejoice in goodness. May all beings live in peace. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings rejoice in goodness. May all beings live in peace. And bringing the attention back down into the belly, just taking a few deep breaths. Again, feeling the feet on the floor, the breath in the belly, feeling grounded with the earth, our Mother Earth. Opening to that deep interconnection with all life as we touch the earth. And if your eyes are closed, slowly open your eyes, maybe keeping that, I mentioned, a peripheral vision, so we're not focusing on objects too quickly, kind of maintaining the open, spacious, inclusive awareness. I thought I would just speak a little bit through a couple of the chapters in the book and then open it up for discussion. Some of the titles, or I call them chapters, I guess they're really just readings. Reading 18 was Relax as It Is. And reading 19 was Working with Slogans. And was there a slogan that was interesting? Yeah, one of the slogans was be grateful to everyone. That's a challenging one. I think there's 52 slogans altogether in the Buddhist context. And there was nothing is solid. She talked about impermanence, egolessness, and staying in the middle was the final chapter. But a lot of this connects with our what we practice tonight. Chapter the number 18 reading was Relax as It Is, and that was really about having no resistance to life. In other words, that experience of whatever is doesn't mean we don't assess it, analyze it through our own ethical lens, but we don't come to judgment as quickly as we typically would. We stay open to many perspectives, meeting those perspectives that may be different than ours with curiosity and compassion, as opposed to judgment, and developing that capacity to ask questions and inquire into the other, to learn more about that which maybe we don't understand or is different from our reality. And was there a reading she talks about at the end? I'll just read a little piece from that chapter. She says, in any case, this idea of relaxing as it is, because the point is not to try to get rid of thoughts or emotions, sensations, but rather to see their true nature. Thoughts especially will run us around in circles if we buy into them and accept them as the whole of who we are. They are like illusions, not really all that solid. This gets back to that idea of no self, that our solid worldviews are not as solid as we think when we really examine them. They're often preference and opinion. And we can begin to look at thinking more as just thought, just an automatic reaction that has some validity, but it's probably not the whole picture of the reality of this moment. So I'll pause there and I'll discuss some more, but curious about if anybody had any questions about the practice tonight or this idea. I think a challenging one in some of these practices, it can sound like oh, I just have equanimity. I'm just, in a place of balance and peace, and nothing really matters. And I don't really have to get upset about anything. But again, we can still take decisive action in the midst of being detached or unattached from our view. What I mean by that is, again, when we can, instead of jumping quickly to our own view and acting from that, we realize that's one piece of reality, but there's probably a lot of other perspectives. We know that in the world today. You can be in a room of 20 people and ask a question, you'll probably get 20 slightly different opinions. So recognizing that the more that we can inquire and listen into that collective, the probably healthier the response we'll have, as opposed to trying to convince everybody that ours is, of course, the best and right way, which is natural. So any comments about in your own life um, running up against this, protecting our own view, and what happens in the body when we get caught up into vehemently protecting our view without maybe being curious about the other person that we're opposing. Usually works out well. The other person just goes, oh, never saw it that way. They might, it's possible. Or any other applications of.
Well, I was out on a walk yesterday and was out in beautiful nature and yet ruminating about all the stuff that's going on, you know. And I was in this space where I just felt so violently correct in my opinions that, that I mean, just aggressively correct. And it just kind of passed through me that, well, what if this is my opinion? It's not like turning your back on things that are um, atrocities and things like that, but just a space opened up for me to think, well, maybe this absoluteness of my opinion is not correct. It isn't. I need to make space for maybe I'm not absolutely right. I don't know. And it was so relieving. It was like the anxiety went away. And I think it's very hard to balance that wanting to have things be, wanting social justice, wanting things to be right, but sometimes hanging on so violently to our opinion. I don't know if that makes any sense. That there's like a rigidity that happens in my body, and it becomes just um I don't know. I'm not expressing it well, but I really felt in a visceral way in my body this letting go of needing to be absolutely right, and that just that allowing, let my body settle and let my heart settle and my mind settle. Um and maybe it was just that I was opening myself up to the other, to the otherness, and not feeling like I had to shut the other out, but to be open to other people's opinions. I don't know, but it was really quite revealing that I hang on to these opinions so strongly, and it actually does damage to my body. If that makes any sense. Any thoughts about that, Eric?
Anybody else experience something like that, or how you responded in that way?
I have a similar, it's a similar reaction where everything is so tight. Your body reacts tightly. And then, the part of the loving kindness, Eric, that you did at toward the end, where accepting things as they are, that piece just really, that part opens things up for me, accepting things as they are. And what's the next part, Eric? You got so accept things as they are, and the other part, I forget.
Yeah, the person is the way they are. What is the phrase? Let me find it here. Give me a moment.
And that to me is like, if I can stick that in my brain and go back to that, accept things as they are, I guess our opinions and stuff that's going on in the world right now, we can hold on to our sense of, like the way I believe is right. But when you hit that with accepting as accept things as they are right now, I don't know, for me, it's a relief. It's like, okay, this is the way it is. Then what? You know?
Yeah, the phrases that you're referring to is may I accept things as they are.
Mhm.
May I be at peace with what I cannot control.
That's the big
That's a
part.
hard one
Yeah.
to discern, what do I have control over? What don't I?
Yep.
And then all beings, I like this last line, all beings are the owners of their actions. So this is
Yes.
the karma view.
Yeah.
What goes around comes around. And there's, I think, this capacity to have empathy for those that we disagree with or even have hatred towards or demonize. If we can open to that and see through their eyes, we can often see the level of contortion and fear and grasping onto control that this person might be doing to protect themselves. And so it's not for those folks, it's having that, having to control others and oppress others is a pretty heavy burden. Um, and unfortunately, it brings a lot of suffering. That, we can resist their actions, but we can also empathize with the inner confusion that they're operating from. They're thinking they're creating safety for themselves or some level of control through manipulation, power, whatever it might be, and they've created a worldview that is working for them, and they can't see that oftentimes the suffering, or they can rationalize the suffering of, oh, these are the ignorant masses. They don't know, what do they know? I'm whatever, however they rationalize it. But we can begin to understand that there's a deep level of confusion that's at the core. Now, some people would say some people are just evil. And maybe there's a dimension of some people who just want to inflict pain. What the underlying motive for that is, I don't know. That seems like there's probably some pretty deep suffering as well. If the way you get peace is by inflicting pain, I don't know the psychology of that completely, but that's a hard one to understand. But so it's this, it's that old thing of we can dislike, we don't have to necessarily hate, we can hate the behavior, but we don't have to hate the person that's delivering it, the action. The behavior is one thing, but we can still allow some level of humanity for the person that's delivering the suffering in the world. I know the Dalai Lama, he was talking to one of the monks that had been in prison for 17 or 18 years with the Chinese. And what was the question the Dalai Lama asked? It was something like, what was your greatest challenge or something in those 17 years? And they said it was, at several times I thought I was going to lose my compassion for my captors. And that was what they were hanging on to, was in the midst of all that, they knew compassion is what would get them to a higher level. They knew if they got into deep hate, it would, would take a toll, and their mind would just be filled with that. Pretty radical concept, but we know what hate does to our own internal mind state. It takes a lot of energy, and there's a lot of catastrophic thinking or imaginal thinking of how do you get revenge, or what you can spend a lot of time in that place of wanting to do harm towards someone else, and it's like, am I replicating the same thing? But it's easy to go there. It's pretty natural. So it's a powerful tool to reframe the demonization that's so easy for the mind to do of those that are different or acting in ways that maybe we see are causing great pain and suffering. But how do we still give them some level of humanity and again separate their actions from a deeper quality? I think there one meditation teacher, Chogyam Trungpa, used to say, even a despicable despot still loves tortillas. They still love something. They love their tortillas. So there's something in their life, or they love their dog, or whatever it might be, or their children. Often, people can. Trying to think if one of the chapters. Oh, would I be able to find it? Tim was talking about without difficulties in our lives, we can't really experience compassion. Well, the staying in the middle, we acknowledge our aversions and our cravings. We become familiar with the strategies and beliefs we use to fortify our cocoon or our worldview. With mindfulness as our method, we start to get curious about what's going on. For quite a long time, we just see it clearly. The degree that we're willing to see our indulging and our repressing clearly, they begin to wear themselves out. Wearing out is not exactly the same as going away. Instead, a wider, more generous, more enlightened perspective arises. How we stay in the middle between indulging and repressing is by acknowledging whatever arises without judgment, letting the thoughts simply dissolve, and then going back to the openness of this very moment. So that's what we're actually doing in meditation. And again, that's part of the teachings about this, and I did the Vipassana practice tonight. Those three qualities are quite essential to Buddhist teachings. A lot of Western Buddhism is about stress reduction and relaxation, which is important. We do that with the body scan. That's kind of a basic practice. But as we move into the deeper practice of insight meditation, we begin to examine how the mind constructs a solid ego self that tends to separate ourselves from the world and separates us from the objects outside us. And Buddhism teaches us that's a construct of the mind, and it's not a reflection of real reality, which the real reality is we're deeply interconnected. We even know that through our biology now. We know our microbiome. We have so many critters living inside us that sustain our health. And of course, the food that we take in, the relationships that we have with nature, with animals, with other people. We live in this community, this sea of connection. So this idea of a separate sense of self is a fallacy. It's not accurate. And the other piece of trying to control our outer circumstances through planning, and planning is fine, but if we get too attached to certain outcomes, suffering is likely to arise, because we know that oftentimes our best laid plans don't quite turn out like we had hoped. So that's the other teaching of all things are impermanent. We try to control reality, but reality has a tendency to do what it's going to do without us being able to have it follow our best laid plans. And then the other teaching of unsatisfactoriness of life is based on continual in the West, we can call it hedonic pursuit, the continuous pursuit of pleasant experiences. And during the holidays, I can definitely get into this. There's so much food around. It's like one taste treat after another. It's like, what next savory thing can I have? I've had a nice meal. An hour later, now I can have a nice cookie. We just keep on, this continuous cycle of trying to stay, having pleasant experiences. And we know where that goes. At the end of the holiday season, I'm 8 pounds heavier. Then I'm unsatisfied. All that great satisfaction. Now I look at the scale and I'm going, So those are three essential teachings that I'll keep coming back to because they're kind of the some of the central tenets of deconstructing that image of ourself in the world that causes suffering, attachment to control and permanency, attachment to a separate sense of self, and so on. Well, I guess we're at 8 o'clock. I've blathered on long enough to finish another session. Any other questions, closing questions or comments? Well, we won't see you for another month. And the emails that you've gotten in the past have plenty of resources there. If you want to read more, The Mind Illuminated is a wonderful book to give you really in-depth, detailed guidance on practice. There's other materials as well. So, and if you're ever so moved, and in our emails, we give you a link to donate if you'd like, but we have this, you can give online through our tinyurl.com at donate to UUCCC. And we always welcome donations to help support this work. And invite a friend to these gatherings. You know, if there's somebody you know that you think could benefit, let them know, and you can forward the email to them, and they can sign up, and we're happy to have them join us. Next session will be Monday, February 2nd. So I'll see you then. And I don't know if some of you, we were looking at, there was going to be a gathering on the 17th, I think. Deborah, do you remember that? There was a workshop, a Saturday workshop. If anybody saw that, that has been canceled due to some health concerns of some of the participants. I'll still be having my retreat sometime. I'm not certain. I think it's in April. I'll be having a Saturday retreat. I'll let people know about that. But
Yeah, it was
enjoy
the
your practice, and try to practice every day, even for 5 minutes if you can. And when you get overwhelmed with the thinking mind, just take a few breaths and recognize that this thought will pass. I don't grab onto it quite so tightly. Yes.
Can I ask a quick question? And this is more of a technical question, but when you go into the thing to donate, there's a bunch of different categories, if I remember right, where to donate to. Where do I put it? Oops, can't hear you.
You're muted, Debbie.
Yeah, let me go in there. It's the general donation. It is
Okay, that's the best one.
yeah, yes.
Okay.
And next week I'll take a look at it and I'll make sure and inform you, not for next week, next month. I'm afraid to go away from the Zoom and go look for it because I might cut you all off. So,
Yeah, okay.
but yeah.
And wherever you put it, we'll get it. So
It's fine. Okay, okay. All right, thank you.
but appreciate that. All right. Be well,
Oh,
everyone.
and Cheryl Rogers just said that they are joining from Canada. Wow.
I hope you come back.
That's
We
great.
yeah. We love you Canadians, and I hope you realize how much we love you. We don't want to own you. So thank you for coming here and being with a bunch of Americans.
Well, take care, everyone. Be kind
Thank
to
you.
yourself, and especially kind to your cats and dogs if you have some. They love us.
Yes. Bye, everyone.